So recently we held a caucus at LA Can of formerly incarcerated individuals and family members to talk about Prop 25. We wanted to hear the ins and outs of the devastation that could be caused if this proposition moves forward. This series that we're releasing, Keeping It 100, talking about today, Prop 25 and other days, is elevating the real voices of real impacted people who will not be bamboozled. So James, thanks for helping put this together, brother. We've been here all day. We've been caucusing. We didn't have family members. We didn't have formerly incarcerated folks really speaking out about Prop 25, talking about the real. Me and you, we felt that we needed to keep it 100, right? We needed to let people know that there's more than meets the eye on this thing called bail reform. Now, the three major features we know of this bail reform, one is that it gives judges this power of preventive detention. We know in the hood that means no bail holds, right?
Yeah.
And so it allows the judge almost unfettered power over our release, over our freedom. We also know about the racist risk assessments that Prop 25 brings in. We know that it's going to bring in more probation officers. We know it's going to build up the situation. And then ultimately, we know that it's going to work against the interests of our people, against the interests of all the work that we've been doing, like ATI and closing jails. Why would organizations, man, organizations like ARC and CSJ, made up of people like us from our communities, some folks formerly incarcerated, why would they be pushing Prop 25, man? Why would they be, of all the shit I just said, why would they be pushing us to say, just trust and believe that this system works better?
Yeah, that's a $1 million question there, right? And the thing is, though, just thinking about that and wondering, like, wow, am I tripping? So I started sharing that out with other folks and getting their perspective on it, and it all came back the same. It just don't make sense how anybody could go through a system of like the county jail or any kind of incarceration, and then knowing about the systemic racism that goes on all levels, right? And also just being aware of all the work that has been done here in LA, by folks here been doing the work before we even came home. When we were still sitting in the cage, not even knowing if we gonna come home. So I felt personally it's no better place to be than on the side by side with the folks that were doing the work to get me home before I came home, right? And so I just think that when you understand the significance in the surroundings and how everything intersects, because it's multi-layers, right? But once you understand that and respect the people that's been here doing this work and not try to come and reinvent the wheel, because reinventing the wheel while you try to make deals, that ain't it, man. That ain't it, man.
Reinventing the wheel when you try to make deals. I love that.
Exactly, man, because you selling out our folks, man. You selling out the kids to come, man, because we already talk about how we are being abused in the justice system, right? So what and how would you even think that it would be okay to give the judges even more power, right? And then the thing is, though, some people seem to think that we got to stop this no money bill right now, right? They was reassured that no, that's not true. What we need to stop right now is Prop 25. Because if we now suddenly make a bow face and go to the judges to give them all this power, they gonna think we done lost our goddamn mind, because we've been fighting so hard to strip them of their power. So again, it just don't make sense. But I feel very compelled to put it out there. Put it out there. I don't care who it exposed, because if you're doing something shameful, then you don't want to be exposed. But if you wasn't doing nothing shameful, you wouldn't mind about sitting here in front of the camera, Facebook Live or anywhere. When you stand on the truth, you could say it more than one time, right? You don't have to think of no lies or no other conniving ways on how you gonna still achieve your financial gains while you misleading a whole race of folks. You know, my thing is you got to call it what it is. You got to call it what it is because it's no other reason why anyone formerly incarcerated would jump on board with something like this. CSJ, you say, ARC, and some of the other people, you know. But I just think that it's just a cold thing when I bring some of my brothers and sisters into a room blindfolded and tell them just sign right here, everything gonna be okay. You know, how can you live with yourself doing some shit like that, man? You know, you worse than the oppressor now. If that's how you doing, you bamboozling your own people. You know, it's just crazy, man. So yeah, I got that formerly incarcerated folks that I invited to come over here and be a part of this because they all have their own story as to how and why Prop 25 would be horrible for themselves in our communities, right? So it's just conversations that need to be had, you know. An invitation has been put out for folks to come sit down. Let's talk about this because how can we all be in agreement with Prop 17, all in agreement with Prop 20, but now be so divided on Prop 25? You know, it just don't make sense.
And you know, James, we've talked about it, and we understand a couple things. We first understand that the motives to move Prop 25 forward are motives by, well, let me strike that. I said, let me strike that like I'm a fucking lawyer. What the fuck? James got me thinking I'm a goddamn, like I'm in a goddamn courtroom.
Strike that.
Strike that. Let me strike that. And so, no, but it's funny, right, James? The other thing, like, we've been in these streets trying to disrupt and topple this racist criminal injustice system. So here in Los Angeles, we got alternatives to incarceration popping. We got the preserving the presumption of innocence popping. We didn't stop some jails from being built. Like, we about it, right? We like, let's disrupt because we don't want our folks in cages. And so in saying all of that, we've been sold this idea, or they're attempting to sell us this idea, and we definitely ain't down with the bail bond industry, but they want us to believe that the bail bond, if we fix the bail bond industry, the system will be less racist, right? This is what they want us to believe. I'm laughing like a motherfucker myself, but they're like, if you fix the bail situation, everything else will self-correct, right? And so using that logic, they're saying that if bail doesn't exist, the judges are going to be less racist. If bail doesn't exist, the prosecutors, they ain't going to try to lock up everybody. If bail doesn't exist, the probation department is going to be more lenient with their controls of release. What do you say to that shit? I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm sitting here and listen to it right now. What I'm thinking is like, I'm gonna use this. Change the wrapper on this sucker, right? Because it's the wrapper that I don't like, but when I change the wrapper, it's still the same damn flavor candy inside the wrapper, right?
That's right.
That's how I see that. But you know, again, the bail system, yeah, we against the bail system too, right? But we damn surely is not willing to give judges more power, right? We could let this Prop 25 pass, right? But at the same time, be at the table to see what we want it to look like on the back end. You know, so the judges won't have all this power over our people. You know, it just, I don't know, man. It just really frustrates me that when we know that we got to fight against the system and then turn around and fight against other orgs and other people that look just like us, you know, but have seem like different agendas. You know, so it just really baffled me on that. You know, it is actually sad. You know, it's sad. We've seen how all the infiltrating that was going on in all our other movements, right? Where they was able to play folks against each other. You know, people just not woke to what the game is that they play. You know, so I think that you know the best we could do, and anybody should do, is whatever the situation is at hand, put it out there for the people. Put it out there for the people to make their own choices. You know, don't make no backdoor deals for a collective people without having that conversation with everybody. You know, I just feel like that's just so wrong. That's just so wrong, and that just like using your members as puppets.
That's right.
You're using your members as puppets for somebody else's agenda. Again, I just feel like it's wrong, man. And be straight honest too. If this severs some friendships, then that was some good severance.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Because I feel like I shouldn't have to be going against anybody. Especially one of my brothers that I've been in prison with for 30 years. To be talking about something now and to be talking about how you're not educating your folks, and I'm not even sure if you educated on this situation, because if you had been or if you was, I can't see how you would even go down this road, man, to be so supportive of something so harmful for our community.
And we from the neighborhood, we keep it hood. And so for me, man, the only thing that I've asked from these cats, from these organizations, see at some level, and it's something I just want to pick up on something you said. On one level, it is about organizations and organizational positioning. But on another level, it's about the organization's relationship to the people. The organization's relationship to the constituency that they saying they getting down with. And so I think the thing that frustrates me right now is we know Prop 25 is a backroom deal between prosecutors, judges, and tech companies. We know that the bail industry ain't going no goddamn where because there's a currency on our bodies are currency, right? And so we know that all they gonna do is do the Michael Jackson and Madonna and invest their monies into other technologies to cage us, right? So even with all of that being said, we know that we say to these organizations, the ARCs, the Western Center on Law and Poverty, the CFJ, CSJs, Communities for Safety and Justice, we say to them, if anything that we're saying is false, debate us, right? Like we say to folks who are listening, if you think that there's something that we're saying that's not correct, we will give you the receipts to that. But we will also say to those organizations that I just named, we aren't in the business of misleading people, but we also not in the business of dragging you through the mud if you don't deserve it, right? And so if you feel like you don't deserve this, holla at us. We done told you, let's sit down and let's go on Facebook Live. Let's go on Instagram Live and let's talk about what it really is. Not just a forum to your followers, not just a forum to our followers, but let's bring it together. Let's debate it. And at the end of the day, if what we are saying is correct, and it is correct, pull your support. Be in opposition. Like if you 100, if you about transparency, if you about freeing your people, I think that's the least that you can do.
Yeah. And I know a lot of guys over at ARC, and I personally been talking to a few of them, and especially like after I see like this was like coming to a boiling point, right? And I spoke to those individuals, man. One didn't know nothing about what Prop 25 was even about, but he's an ARC member. How your folks ain't talking to you, right? And the other one say, man, I ain't with that shit. You know what I'm saying? He said, but I just work here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But he went to they powers to be and told them I ain't with it. But for some reason this guy Sam want to keep pushing this, right? But I mean, again though, invitation's been put out. Come to the table, let's talk about it. It's as if they don't want to talk, or if they do talk, they mind already made up, no matter what you say anyway. That's what I got from the last meeting we had with them, right? The mind was already made up. Even after their reasons was all undermined by, they say we professional by experience, right? Formerly incarcerated lifers, right? But these are professionals that's been out here doing this work before we came home, right? So again, though, how you not take the lead on somebody that's been doing this work, that's been making momentum, and that really have more knowledge to this, I think it would be like really selfish of me to think, come home and try to reinvent the wheel again, when there's people already been doing it. I need to find out what did they do or how did they do it, and either get in board with them or line up something else in lines with what they're doing and not go against them. Another thing you say too, we for the people. We for the people. We abolitionists. We unapologetic about it. Some of us out here that say that they for the people are doing the work. They in the business of making deals. We do not compromise, at all, at all. They say us coming in with the abolitionist lens. They say we're not being realistic. We thinking we doing too much, right? They say we was being too far out of line when we asked for a civilian oversight committee. They say we was too far out of line when we pushed for Baca to be incarcerated. They say we was too far out of line when they say that we couldn't stop 2 jails from being built. But we did all this. We did all this because we look at things through an abolition lens. And if you're not looking at it through an abolition lens, then you in it to make a deal. And when you make a deal, you selling somebody out that look just like you.
That's right. All day long. So, I was going to ask you, now James in my head, I was going to ask you what's the motive. But that's what the motive is, right? The motive oftentimes is self-gain, man.
Yeah.
I had another one coming, but you just James layered all of them shits, and I'm loving it. There was one more question. Probation. Okay, I got it. Mm-hmm. And so it goes back a little bit to what's already been said. So yeah, James, you might have to cut this one. You might have to edit this one. And so I've been online. I've been looking at their lives. I've been listening to ARC and CSJ, their explanations on Facebook about why they support Prop 25 and why we should all support Prop 25. And the only thing that continues to come out from them has been, well, just give judges a chance, right? Or risk assessments, yeah, we hear they're bad, but we're not using them for this yet. Just give them a chance. We can just give them a chance. Like, they don't even have an argument, right, that's rooted in fact, right? There's facts about biases, about the entire criminal and justice system being biased. That's a fact. There's a fact that a mountain of judges are racist, right? There's a fact that this whole system is a system right now, 90% based on plea bargains. But if Prop 25 moves forward, it's going to be a 100% plea bargain system. That's a fact. And so you can't, in the same breath, say, yeah, we're about defunding and reallocating resources to our community. You can't say that, but then at the same time, be building up the carceral state in your community, right? And so there is no there, right? They don't have any answers. And so because they don't have any answers, what can the motive be? Like they understand the best of us. They understand the best of analysis. They understand their own, and this is most important, they understand their own experience, James.
Yeah.
They done sat in the motherfucking courtroom.
Yeah.
They done watched the prosecutors and the judges malign their characters. They didn't watch them say no bail, or we didn't watch them use a bail schedule for a petty offense be up to about $500,000 for you to get out. So what could be the motive, bruh? Yeah. What's the motive to make you walk against your own experience and that of your community and your family?
Yeah, was you saying all that? It made me think about in the call when they was proclaiming that because how the bail system is so unfair, if you just take away the whole bail system now, it make it even for everybody, right? We just all can't pay bail to get out now. Nobody can now, so we all stuck in this system, right? But you told them you want it like that because the white people get more access to bail because they had the money, right? But now we got to go through these judges, right? That we already say that it's totally against us and looking for incarceration at all means necessary, right? They say that it's right here when we take away the money bill that it will make it fair across the board, right? But the reason why we fighting to take away the money bill because they say that it's unfair, right? As far as white folks have more access to getting parole or out of jail versus black and brown folks, right? So if this is what's going to even the field out, But here it is, we still got to go see this judge that we already say that has too much power, that's locking up too many of our folks, right? So, and then we're going to be judged with these remake assessments, right? That's already been proven to be flawed and racist, right? So now we get judged on our geographical location. We get judged on all our previous arrest histories and convictions. We just get judged on a bunch of things, right? So for those reasons, I still can't see how taking away the money bail and giving power to the judge would make it better for us, you know. The only thing that would do is mean that can nobody bail out now, right? But we all got to go see a judge, and the same judge that not them, but we've been complaining about. So it just don't make sense to give them all this power, you know. And for them to even say that as their reason, I don't even think they thought about their answer to what their reason was, because there's no logic in it.
Right.
You know, if you look at it from this way to that way, up or down, there's still no logic in it, you know, to take away something like that and give them that much power. And then, too, though, we know people sitting in that county jail pre-trial. The county is the biggest jail in the world, right? We know what it's like in the county jail. In '84, I was in the county jail. Seen a dude get killed, beat to death, right? Just because he was roaming, not in his cell when he was supposed to be. They handcuffed this guy, let him fall down the escalators, and told his family that's how he died. He fell down the escalator on the escort and broke his neck, right? But I'm saying that to say this: by all costs, we should be trying to keep our people out this county jail. You know, we work with families every day that have a more horrendous story than what we're talking about here. You know, their kids was actually murdered in the county jail, and these murders was covered up and ruled out as suicides. There's multiple cases that have been overturned, and families that have been compensated. You know, the county don't compensate families when loved ones commit suicide.
That's right.
Right. So
That's right.
It's a lot of stuff going on, and it's a lot that people in our community is not even aware of, man. You know, and it's something, and a lot of stuff we haven't even exposed yet. That's all dealing with this system. You know, that's going to be exposed, and it's going to be some more players that's a part of this, that's supportive of all these cover-ups and all that. You know, I ain't gonna get too far ahead of myself and speak on it,
That's
but
right.
it's more
It's
coming.
coming.
It's
It's
more
coming,
coming
goddammit.
to prove about what's going on out here. You know, and again, though, I mean, I just think that it just, you know, being so respectful, man, to the people. I say my elders, because they was here before we was, because we left when we was teenagers. Coming back home now, they've been here doing this fight for us all that time, man. You know, I think it's no better place to be than side by side with them, man, in this fight, in this struggle, man. And now I see it's very needed for us to be here, because we need to make sure that our formerly incarcerated people is not coming home, it's getting misled. You know, people come home and get misled, and they get used. You know, I tell all our folks that come to Forever Rooted, man, don't let nobody out here use you. People is out here using you because you're formerly incarcerated and you're an ex-lifer, and while you're telling your story, you going home still trying to figure out what you eating for dinner when they over here getting paid off your story. I tell them, don't do that. Don't be that, man. Oscar always say that. You know, that's one thing. It's a 7-week curriculum in Forever Rooted, but that's the first thing I tell them before we even start the curriculum. You know, because I know how it is out here. People come home, people change, people get other motives, right? And sometimes it just don't include you. You know what I'm saying? So and they don't. It damn sure don't include the community. You know, when things like this, backdoor deals being made like that, you can't have the community in mind, because if you did, you surely wouldn't be trying to have them sit in no county jail, have to go see I won't say a racist judge, but a judge that's sitting in a racist system. Yeah.
I mean, I guess the last thing for now. So SB 10 also, under SB 10 Prop 25, if it moves forth, it extends the time by which you come before the judge. It extends the time to like 6 calendar days. And by our estimates, you know, when you start putting in weekends and all of this, when courts are open, you could literally, if you're in there and you're not one of the lucky folks with a very low level misdemeanor who could potentially be put out, you could literally be there 14 days before seeing a judge. what can people? And you've already touched upon some of this about people being murdered in the county jail. But what else can be lost, man? If you sitting up in jail waiting to see a judge to decide your freedom for 6 to 14 business days, what do we stand to lose?
Wow, man. Hey, the list is long. The list is long. You could start off with employment. You know, if you're a single parent, you could start off with the custody of your kids. You know, you could start off with losing your house. You know, wherever you living at, not being there. Who knows? The bills probably been ready to get paid 2 days after you was arrested, but now you sitting in here waiting to see a judge to get ran through this remake assessment. And like you say, if you're lucky, you'll come home 6 to 14 days later. But if you're not now, you're still gonna be held pretrial though. So in these just few days, you know, a lot could be lost. You know, custody of your kids, your employment, your housing. You know, and those things that, you know, people work very hard just to get to that point. So just to lose it so quick over a card game when the deck was already stacked against you, it's like, man, it reminds me of what they say, like crabs in a bucket. You know, soon as one get to the top, so here go the other one, pulling them back down.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so you know, it's that just no way, no how with Prop 25 could ever be good for us. You know, it never had no intentions on being good for us. It only had intentions on strengthening the judicial system and probation. You know, that's what it was designed for, and also to further keep tabs and surveillance on us and our people in our communities. Like you say, if you're not in the county jail, you're still part of the system because now you're going home with an ankle monitor. You know, so a lot of people don't realize how big of a business that is now. You know, and I'm already sure what the study would say if you just bag up and look at the whole LA geographic, and then just everywhere it's an ankle monitor on, and all these counties light up, and you see what communities that's gonna light up.
That's right.
You know,
That would be a hell of a visual. That'll tell you.
That'll tell the truth right there. You know, if people act like that, they don't get it. You know,
And people act like, I mean, to that point, James, people act like people who don't have the ankle monitor on act like because you have this ankle bracelet on, you're free. You're not free with an ankle monitor. That's an extension of the carceral state, right? And so when you think about that map, that visual, and I would love to see that visual of what communities have a heat map of which communities have the ankle bracelets, you would see it's the same communities and the same zip codes that fill the jail cells up, the exact same community. And so what becomes problematic and what we have to stop is we're talking about a widening of the carceral tools. We're talking about a widening of the ways that they keep us caged, and at the same time that we stopping jails from being built, knowing that they have plans to build more, and knowing that Prop 25 leads to more people in custody, not less people in custody.
No.
Right? Particularly with, and this will be the last thing, particularly with probation being in charge of your pretrial release conditions. What could go wrong there? People acting like probation ain't the police and that.
Yeah.
Well, you're not even convicted of shit yet.
Yeah.
But probation is in charge of your pretrial release conditions, and you're reporting to them. What could go wrong there?
A lot could go wrong now because you're in the system.
Right.
And that's all they need is for you to be somehow, some way in the system. Now that you're in the system, if you don't call in time, or you having phone problems, or you in somewhere where you don't get phone signal, right, and miss that that check-in, you know, you can get deemed for that. You know, you can get violated, and now you're back in custody because you didn't contact your PO in a timely fashion, even though it was outside your power because of technology reasons, right? But being on probation, it limits you on your travel. You know, if you got to work outside of an area, you got to get special permission to see what they approve for you to go to work outside of that radius that you can travel in. So, yeah, just having that ankle monitor on, it does a lot. You can't even take a bath. I had a friend of mine, he had an ankle monitor on. In fact, another one was around us the other day, and a lot of my homeboys, they didn't even know he had an ankle monitor on. But that just weighs, just to keep you track of you and hoping that you slip up, because if you slip up, now we could put you back inside this system where others to be hope that you had to go through this system and see these judges to run you through these remake assessments. So again, because of your geographical location, because of the systemic racism, because of black and brown people have most of them multiple cases already in their files, not because they did nothing wrong. Like one of the guys was sharing, he was standing by a wall that somebody had just painted. They didn't have no paint or nothing, but they go into custody. He's forced to take all these deals and end up on probation when he didn't even do nothing. So I just think that they want you somehow, some way to be in that system, and they hope also that they could just graduate you to the next level of that system.
Wow. Matriculation, graduation from one system to the next. Prop 25 is not a proposition for us. Prop 25 is a proposition about us without us. No on Prop 25.